Hey guys, Dr. Brown again with Kubo Math coming to you from Tarlac City, Philippines. And tonight we're working Algebra 2, solving quadratic equations. So we have maybe 5 problems, I think, worked up for you. So let's jump into it. The standard form for a quadratic equation is ax to the second power plus bx plus c equals 0. In this form, you can factor it, and we've been studying factoring for the last few lessons. You can factor and solve for the variable x. So we have an equation here, x to the second power minus 4x plus 3 equals 0. Let's, in that equation, it's in the standard form, and you can see a equals 1, b equals a negative 4, c equals 3. You can see the equation on the back of my shirt. Eventually, we'll be using the quadratic formula to solve for x. And you'll have to know what a, b, and c are in order to use that formula. I guess you can see that. Okay, so in this case, let's just factor this one as we've been doing. So let's draw our grid. Okay, so x times x gives me x to the second power. Now in this case, I need 3 times 1 is, that's only factors of 3. But they need to multiply together to give me a positive 3, which means they can both be positive or both be negative. But they need to add together to give me a negative 4, so that means they both need to be negative. So negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 1 times x is a negative x. Negative 3x plus negative x is negative 4x. X times x is x to the second power. Negative 1 times negative 3 is a positive 3. So that's what I need. So x minus 3. So x minus 3 times x minus 1 equals 0. Now this means this equals 0, this can equal 0, or this can equal 0, this parentheses. So if we say x minus 3 equals 0, solve for this. So x minus 3 plus 3 equals 0 plus 3. So these 3's cancel, x equals 3. Okay, x minus 1 equals 0. X minus 1 plus 1 equals 0 plus 1. I've added 1 to both sides. These cancel, so I have x equals 1. Okay, let's see if we're correct. So 3 squared is 9. Minus 4 times 3 is 12. 9 minus 12 is a negative 3. Negative 3 plus 3 equals 0. So that checks out. X equals 1. So 1 squared. Let me get rid of this. 1 to the second power is 1. Minus 4 times 1. So it's minus 4, which is a negative 3. Negative 3 plus 3 equals 0. So that works. So x equals 3 or x equals 1 would be solutions to that problem that we had. Okay. All right, let's work 2x to the second power plus 4x equals 30. Now you'll notice it's not in the standard form, so I need to put it into the standard form. 2x to the second power plus 4x minus 30 equals 0. I've subtracted 30 from both sides. Okay, I can factor this now to reduce it some, pull a 2 out. So that's x to the second power plus 2x minus 15 equals 0. Now then, let's see, let's put our goal post up here. So I have x times x. I'll leave the 2 on the outside for now. And let's see, 15 and 1, 5 and 3. 5 times 3, but it needs to give me a positive 2 when I add those together. So this would be a positive and a negative. So I'm going to put a positive 5 and a negative 3. So that gives me a positive 5x. It gives me a negative 3x, which gives me a positive 2x when I add them together, and a negative 15. All right, so I have 2 times, let's not forget our 2 times the parentheses of x plus 5 times x minus 3 equals 0. Okay, so I know one or the other of these equals 0, so x plus 5 equals 0. So I subtract 5 from both sides. So these cancel, x equals negative 5. So x minus 3 equals 0. So x minus 3 plus 3 equals 0 plus 3. So the negative cancels the positive, x equals a positive 3. So let's try this. A negative 5 plus 5 and 3 minus 3, so that works out. Let's go back to the original equation and plug in the negative 5. So negative 5 squared is 25, a positive 25. 2 times 25 is 50. Plus 4 times a negative 5 is a negative 20. 50 minus 20 is 30. So 30 equals 30. So that works. Now let's try, let's try x equals 3. So 3 squared is 9. 2 times 9 is 18. 4 times 3 is 12. So 18 plus 12 is 30. So that works out. So x equals negative 5 and x equal 3 would be solutions for this. Okay, so far so good. Hopefully everybody's had a great day and you've been studying that math, studying the rules, and practice, practice, practice. X to the second power minus 9x equals 10. Okay, it's not in the standard form, so let's subtract 10 from both sides. X to the second power minus 9x minus 10 equals 0. So draw our grid. Okay, I have, this may be easy here. So factors here, 10 and 1. And I need a negative 9, so let me put this and I'll leave a positive 1. Positive times negative gives me, well, I've got my goalpost on the wrong side here. Gives me a negative 10, which is what I need. Okay, and then adding them together gives me a negative 9. So x times x gives me x to the second power. And now, negative 10 times x, negative 10x, 1 times x is x, add those together, negative 9x, x squared minus 10. So that's what I needed. So I have x minus 10, so these terms, and then x plus 1 equals 0. So now I know 10 minus 10 is 0, so x equals 10. Negative 1 plus 1 is 0, so x equals negative 1. Let's see if this works out. So 10 squared is 100, minus 9 times 10 is 90. 100 minus 90 is 10. That's good. Negative 1 squared is 1. And then a negative 1 times 9 is 9, but it's minus a negative 9. So negative 1 times 9 is negative 9. So 1 minus a negative, that's my kryptonite. Minus a negative is plus a positive. 1 plus 9 is 10. So that works out also. Okay. Wow, we're batting 1,000 here. We're major leaguers. Okay. However, for me, math in and of itself is one thing. But as an engineering guy, I love working problems where I just it's a word problem, but it's real life, because that's the way it is in the real world on the job. You have this scenario and you're trying to solve something and you're trying to utilize the math in order to do it. So it becomes a word problem. So in this case, we have a rectangle that its length is 2 less than twice the width. So the length is L, and it's 2 less than twice the length. So W equals the width, but the length is 2 times the width minus 2, and this is in feet. And the area, obviously for a rectangle, we have this rectangle here. We have W, and then we have L. So the area is W times L. Put my W on the other side. It's a little confusing. But L equals 2W minus 2. Oh, and it also said that area was 84 square feet. So the width is in feet, the length is in feet. I'm not going to put the units down. Where I went to school, if I didn't, that would be wrong. Okay, but just for the sake of not clouding up the calculations, I'll leave the units off. But feet times feet gives me square feet, so I know the units will be right. So the area then is width times length, which was 2W minus 2, and this is 84 equal 2W to the second power. W times 2W gives me 2W to the second power minus 2W. Actually, I'm going to subtract 84 from both sides. So 0 equals 2W to the second power minus 2W minus 84. Let me factor a 2 out. 2 times W to the second power minus W minus 42. Okay, now if we were to factor 42 such that when we add those factors together we get basically a -1. 7 times 6 is 42. It's negative, and I end up when I add them as a -1. So this is negative, that's positive. So minus 7 plus 6, I almost said X, but it's W times W gives me a W to the second power. Minus 7 times W is minus 7W. 6 times W is a positive 6W. Add those together, I get a minus W, which is what I wanted. This is W to the second power. This is negative 42. So my values here are W and negative 7. So let's not forget our 2. As a matter of fact, we'll get over here. 2 times W minus 7 times W plus 6 equals 0. So I can see that W minus 7 equals 0. W minus 7 plus 7. So minus 7 plus 7 equals 0 plus 7. These cancel. W equals 7. Now W plus 6 equals 0. W plus 6 minus 6 equals 0 minus 6. These cancel. W equals a negative 6. Can I have the width of a rectangle with negative width? No. So this one has no meaning at all. So W equals 7. Okay. So since W equals 7, I think that pen's about to run out. So if W equals 7, then L, the length, is 2 times W minus 2. 2 times 7 minus 2 is 14 minus 2. So length equals 12. Now then, 12 times 7. So now this is 12. And this is 7. 7 times 12 is in fact 84. So those would be the correct solutions. Okay. One more, and then we'll wrap it up for the night. I love word problems. Sometimes they don't love me, but I enjoy working them. Okay. Bob is 3 years older than Brad. So here's two people, and one of them is 3 years older than the other. We're going to say Brad's age equals X. And then Bob, his age is X plus 3 because he's 3 years older. And it says the product of their ages is 154. So it's saying that X times X plus 3 equals 154. So X, we can distribute this inside. X times X is X to the second power plus 3X. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 154 from both sides. Equals 0. That's a bad looking 0. That's not much better. Okay. So let's factor this and see what we get. All right, X times X. Now in this case, I guessed when I first started this, 12 times 12 is 144. So then I just dropped down to 11 and it worked out. It came out to 11 and 14 were factors of that. That when I add them together, or subtract, well, I've got to come up with a negative number here, and I need to add them and end up with a positive. So this number can be negative. Multiplied together gives me a negative 154. Added together gives me a positive 3. So that'll work out. So I've got to multiply the diagonal. 14x minus 11x gives me a positive 3x. X times x is X to the second power minus 154, and with the product of that. So my factors, X plus 14 and X minus 11 equals 0. Product of those equals 0. Negative 14 plus 14 is 0, so X equals negative 14. 11 minus 11 equals 0, so X equals 11. Can I have an age of Brad to be a negative 14? No. So that one has no meaning. But I can have 11. So if this guy's age is 11, 11 plus 3 is 14. Now if I multiply those two numbers together, I get 154 because those were my factors here. So these are just a few examples of how you can utilize the standard form of a quadratic equation or a polynomial to the second order to solve for the variable that's in question. So hopefully this helps. Keep practicing, study. I'll say it every week. Just study your math. Keep working as many problems as you can get your hands on. It's just like practicing basketball. If you want to get good shooting free throws, best way to do that is shoot a lot of free throws. So do that, okay? All right, so let's build a better tomorrow through math and keep studying. And this is all for now, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.